Hey guys, Dr. James Jernigan here with Cornerstone Chiropractic. I'm with Liz Kahn with You Be Well. And what we want to do is we want to talk about self-sabotage today. And I love it because I'm so fascinated with, psychology, and here, you're the expert on this. And so every single day I always come up with different questions that I ask Liz of just because I'm fascinated by it, because self-sabotage is something that I would say the majority of people, especially that are going after something in their life, deal with.
Yeah, well, and I mean, certainly the majority, I don't know, when we talk numbers or percentages, there are lots of people who absolutely set their goals, set their objectives, take every step they need to get there. Of course, those are the people we're talking to, right? We're talking to those of you that are more like us that sometimes fall short and don't really understand why.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
And here's where we bring up this notion of, is it something that I'm doing? Is it something that is keeping me from getting to where I want to go? Self-sabotage, we're going to name it, right? There's something that may or may not be within my immediate power control that is tripping me up and not allowing me to get to where I want to be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and a lot of times it's right about the point when you're breaking free and you're about to hit those goals. And then what I've noticed a lot of times where it's just you wake up and it's just not even just not motivated to do something, but anti-motivated, or there's something that's or something big comes up, and you're yep, yeah.
This is actually a big thing because often we use that last thing that you mentioned, that big thing that comes up.
Mm-hmm.
So I was going to do my dissertation in my doctoral program on choice, satisfaction, and when synchronicity comes and screws it all up, right? So I've made a choice, I'm doing these things, and then, oh no, something catastrophic happens in my family. So I have to stop what I'm doing, and it's legitimate. This isn't my fault.
Right.
But I'm making, it's because of these circumstances that I have to stop what I'm doing. But do we have to?
Right.
Do we? I mean, it might be the easy way. It might actually not. It might be the hard way,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But it's whatever it is, it's keeping you from doing that thing that you had decided you were going to do. Self-sabotage.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes it's wrapped in a package that looks really reasonable.
Almost even extremely reasonable.
Right.
And so I didn't realize that there were so many, because you were saying there's a ton of different areas that we can self-sabotage.
Oh, yeah.
And so let's keep it towards, because there's a lot of, business entrepreneurs out there too that really, they're going through it. And there's a lot of different approaches. There's a lot of different approaches, especially with, diving deep back into third grade and realizing this is why
we've got these limiting beliefs.
Yeah.
Right. Well, and I think what we're kind of dancing around in this moment is that a lot of self-sabotage originates
mm-hmm.
from an emotion.
Yeah.
Usually fear. We've talked in January a lot about fear. It's February. Guess what? There are still more elements of fear that we can discuss. And this self-sabotage, especially when we have all of these opportunities to justify and rationalize,
mm-hmm.
again, we're not judging. We're simply putting it out there, right? When we have this component of fear that is, especially when it's easy to kind of write off and not accept as fear, it can be crippling. And it's definitely going to stop you from getting to the places where you want to go, which means that you're not living life on purpose. You're kind of letting life push you around. We want to avoid that.
Yeah, and so absolutely. So we have some approach that you use all the time, and I've honestly adopted into where I don't even realize that I do it, but I use this approach because mm-hmm. it's so effective. And so we like to do action steps every single time when we do videos. And the action step today is
a question.
Yes,
I love my questions.
Always. It's so crazy.
They're wonderful.
And for you guys out there that have never heard of this, or what do you mean? Why a question? Why is it so significant? Because where your focus is, where your focus goes,
your energy flows.
And so where your mindset is, where your focus is going to drastically change your life. And so
I'm glad you said that, because a lot of times when we think about self-sabotage, and then this notion that, like, I'm actually asking you to take responsibility for it. So where are your thoughts going to go? Are you going to start beating yourself up? Are you going to start saying, oh gosh, what am I doing wrong? What are these things that are keeping? Don't do it.
Yeah, don't. That's a rabbit hole all day.
That is, and it's going to take you to a place that is, I don't think it's going to get you closer to where you want to be. That's just going to be my guess. So for us, I think that a great question so that we can rise above or thrive through some of our old patterns that keep us stuck just below where we want to be. Here's a great one for you. What steps can I take to break these old patterns so I can accomplish every one of my objectives? Maybe that's a little too wordy. How do I bust through this?
Yeah, or in what ways can I embrace this new path? I love that. Like,
and you brought up, I love it when you bring up new things. Okay, so here's this notion. This is where a lot of the fear comes from. When we don't know what's going to come as a result of our accomplishing this objective, that gets a little scary. I'm quite familiar. You've heard the devil you know, right? So when you're familiar with your discomfort, it's almost reinforcing to stay there because you don't know what's coming later. What if it isn't wonderful? What if it isn't everything I hoped it was?
What if I'm not ready to, what if, like, all of it?
And there's this wonderful thing. I had a friend in California, I don't know, Steve Napolitan, if you're watching this, this is a nod to you, but this notion that, like, if it's brand new, it shouldn't feel normal.
Yeah.
So don't expect to feel normal, but recognize that how you're feeling isn't necessarily bad.
We are holding so tight to comfortable, like what is common, like what we see every single day, because you don't have to use so much, like mental energy to be able to live in that space. And so if you can start to ask those questions, and I'm huge on my beliefs, like what are your thoughts? What are your beliefs behind change? Because if change is something that you're fearful of, then it's just a belief. Like it literally, I say just a belief because
because beliefs aren't.
Yes, they're super deep. But if you can change your questions on how you approach change, you can drastically change your emotions that are tied behind change.
And what happens when you change how you feel about something? You change how you respond to it.
Yeah.
And that is really what we're talking about. We're not changing reality. We're changing our perception of what we're doing in reality.
Yes.
And we're saying, okay, this thing, if let's say I do get this great job it might move me. I'll have to make new friends. I have this opportunity to make new friends, to have all these things. So it's like, how are you talking to yourself about it? Yeah. And when you're talking to yourself in fear, that's a great opportunity for you to say, slow down. Mm-hmm. How can I interrupt this process and replace it with something that will give me what I need in this moment? And that's the other part. I don't know what you need in this moment.
Yeah, and honestly, I think that a lot of self-sabotage or fear about change is directly linked to perfection mentality. If you're not perfect at it, then
possibly
I think that's a huge
it's a big
one
element.
That is so being able to, and you were touching on a lot, is just like you have to have that love, just wholehearted, just being okay and comfortable and love who you are. I just think that self-love, that
and that's that other place. It's not like romantic love. It's not like I look at myself in the mirror and go, oh, my goodness. It is that emotional state of love where you are balanced, where you are not being pushed around by the fears, by the anger, even by the romantic love, which can make us all do stupid things. I think any one of us can say that, right? So we want to be in that balanced place where we are the ones who are making the decisions with the information that those emotions give us, but not being pushed by them and feeling out of control. So if you are a self-saboteur, a great question to ask is, how do I break this pattern? What can I do to get, what was your question? It was beautiful.
It was, in what ways can I start to embrace this new direction in my life?
Yes.
In what ways can I start to embrace unconditional love for myself and those around me? I think those, if you just keep asking yourself those and try to not necessarily meditate on it, but let your body feel how your body responds, like,
oh,
no,
it's perfect because, I have trouble with meditation, but I can sit with a thought for 60 seconds. I can sit and have that as a mantra, right?
Mantra, but it would probably be
absolutely. And just ask it a couple of times and try it because you will feel a shift. If you are starting to feel negative,
almost immediate. I don't know, maybe because
I think it is pretty immediate for most people. And why don't you tell us? Try it and
those two
leave
questions.
A little comment.
Start asking yourself those. Let us know how this does. Like how you respond to it, because we know how powerful it is, and if there's problem or if there's trouble with the implementation process, or you need something other than that, like, we're ready to help you walk through that. So.
We got so many resources for you. It's amazing.
All right, guys. We love you.